Again, today we are here to talk about the curious character of Charleston White. I know you're familiar with him. I know you heard him. I know you heard about him. Probably done seen some of his clips where he's saying wild things. He's a very, very entertaining man. And he also has some wisdom, and he's intelligent at times. But he's funny, charismatic. Uh, he's he's uncut. He's raw. He says things without thinking sometimes. Or is he thinking? That's what we're gonna build about, man. But we want to deal with the curious character of Charleston White. Who is he? So Charleston White is from Fort Worth, Texas. You know, he came up as a street guy in Fort Worth, Texas. Hitting licks, and they was hitting licks and doing petty crimes. And one day he goes to a Foot Locker with his crew, and they snatch some starter jackets, and on the way out of the store, the Foot Locker, a good Samaritan, a civilian, it happened to be a white civilian, steps into the path of the thieves, right, and chases them into the parking lot. And in the midst of the parking lot, as he's trying to make, I guess, a citizen's arrest, one of Charleston White's friends pulls out a hammer and unalives the good Samaritan. In this case right here, it's saying Charleston White to juvenile. Where he did a bid, and he laid down for a little bit. Doing his bid. Doing his time. While away, he began to read books, and he gained more wisdom over time, and he was able to deal with the shadow self. And the shadow self is also taking. He also did some mirror work where you look into yourself, and you deal with all of the flaws that you have versus like pointing the finger at other people. You look into yourself, and you deal with accountability. And when you deal with accountability, sometimes you start to realize that you've been taught to blame people for every single thing, right? Not realizing that you control your own destination, and that you are the master of your own destiny, and that you create your own life, right? You create everything. Once you were born as a kid, you didn't have anything to say in the about as far as the neighborhood you were in. Your parents had that. It's the luck of the hand that was dealt to you. But as you become older, you start to make your own decisions. And when you start making bad decisions, you may have been influenced by your surroundings, and sociology will teach you that. However, you still are the master of your own destiny. And so while away, he developed accountability. He took the accountability pill, and he learned how to really deal with self. And one thing is, when you're dealing with self, you also start to look at the community, and you want to help the community, and then you realize that the community has when I say community, I mean black community, right, has done a lot of blaming sometimes, just rightfully so, but then sometimes, just bad behavior is it's been blamed on people outside of the community for so long, instead of just looking at ourselves and just wondering, like, man, some of the bad behavior that we doing, right? So anyway, long story short, this brother gets out, and he gets into his activism bag. He's going around with the bow tie, and he's showing up at city councils. He's doing community work. He wants to help the community out, right? He wants to help the community out. So he's showing up, speaking on the gang violence, speaking on drug dealing that's going on in the community. He's working with police and all that. You know what I'm saying? And about the year 2020. He rolls on the scene, right? He rolls on the scene during the COVID era, where it was like he was recording himself in the car at this time, and he's just, but this time it's a whole nother version. So when he got out, he spoke with great etiquette, moved with great etiquette, great diction, you know what I mean, and had the bow tie. He still, at times, you would still see him get out of character here and there. But now, 2020, when he starts to emerge into black culture, as far as like on the internet wave, right? You start to see him like, it's this black man, and he's an older black guy. He had braids at the time, and he's screaming at the camera, and he's going off like George Floyd deserved to be unalive by the police, and F Nipsey Hussle. You know what I'm saying? He's drawing people in with the radical, like, radical statements that he's making towards people that the black community seem to love. You know what I'm saying? And whenever someone would approach him about his statements, he would point the finger at all the flaws and the negative connotations that the black community allows to be normalized, right? So if you say, if he says F Nipsey Hussle, and then you try to say something to him about it, he would say, when Nipsey was a Crip, and the Crips do this and this. So it would draw contradictions in black people's selective politics, right? Like, so if you like a rapper, you say stop the violence, but all the music that you listen to is violent, So he always had a strong stance in that, because he would make what he learned in prison was to make other people look in the mirror, because he had to look in the mirror himself and see all the flaws in himself, and all these same flaws that was in himself was also in the community, right? The contradictions, right? Saying blaming white people, but you didn't even get up. Man, the system got me down, Brad. Man, I can't do nothing. I can't get no job. But you didn't even wake up early this morning and put no application in. You was too busy smoking L's, and then you just got, you got sleepy. You walked to the gas station, and then you looked up and it was 4 o'clock, an unproductive day. Yet you blaming the white man and your own decisions, right? So with this type of thinking, as far as the community also has this same type of thinking, with so much black on black violence goes on every day, drive-bys and all this. But as soon as a police officer, a white police officer, does a crime against a black person, and all of a sudden we all move as one, right? And that's a contradiction in that. So Charleston White has always he found a way into black culture, as far as like becoming like the mascot for making black Americans look in the mirror at their own contradictions, right? And I think that's a good thing, because you almost forcing the black community to deal with their hypocrisy, and also you're forcing them to do shadow work, which he had to do in prison. You know what I mean? So that's a good thing. I can't say he was the first one to do that, because like I say, Polite did that at times, and we had other people that did that. Candace Owens does it. I've always done it myself. You know what I'm saying? But this is one of the tactics that he gained fame with, as far as like making his own name through the realm of using entertainment, as far as like his comedian, his shock jock, saying wild things that draws in the content, the views. The views is that's for a lot of these channels, they bring him on because of the shocking things that he may say, but he'll throw some knowledge in there, throw some wisdom in there, he throw some politics in there, but then he'll say F Duck's mama, right? F King Von, or he'll say F this, F that, F George Floyd, F, he loved Trump, he walk around with the Confederate flags on that time. He shock jock, man. He snitch. He don't mind snitching. He might pull up with the guns. He doing 20 verse 1. You know what I mean? But this, as he says out his own mouth, this is a character that he created because he realized that when he was talking regular to the black community, as far as like, with the bow tie, and it passed the time where, like, at one time people was hearing Malcolm and they wanted to hear that, right? They wanted to hear from a clean cut bow tie nigga, but then, at times then passed, these is hip hop babies, they didn't want to hear that from that type of shit. So, he antagonizes, his approach is to antagonize the culture, right? And then we're saying crazy things about it, but then bringing them in at the same time. That's his approach. And then maybe he may drop a jewel on him, you know what I mean? So, but first he had to draw him in with the antagonist. That's like a boxer who got to set you up with the left, right, and then he throw the right at you. So Charleston's approach is to throw the shot, say the crazy, arrogant things that brings in the viewers, and then next thing you know when you box him in, he'll hit you with some wisdom. You know what I mean? But also one of the things that helps Charleston also is, reaching street guys is that he went to prison, right? He did a bid, and I noticed that I've always said that younger street guys will listen to you if you got a street background or if you did a bid. It's like with conscious music, right? With a lot of conscious rap, you'll notice like the most deaths in the Commons and those type of guys never got the same type of love as like a Tupac or like a Nipsey Hussle, right? Or a Nas, because those conscious guys got a street background to them, and it's almost like you got to have a street background to you for hip hop culture to really like even want to hear what you got to say, to even hear the conscious stuff, because it can't come off like lame. Or I think Common and Talib and all them, they come off as lame to the culture because it's just, it comes off a little too preachy as far like, man, you didn't even live that stuff, right? So with Charleston, another thing that helps him get the message across is that he actually lived the street stuff. You know what I'm saying? He did a bid and all this, because you got to keep in mind, like with Malcolm, right? Malcolm started off as a pimp, hustler, robber, all that. You know what I'm saying? And dating the white chicks, did it all. And then when he was locked up, that was when he caught the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Got it from his brother and a prisoner that was, I forgot his name. You know what I mean? I ain't read the autobiography of Malcolm X in a minute. While he was locked up, he caught the knowledge, and he taught himself how to read, and he would use the light. He read every page of the dictionary, got his vocabulary up. You know what I'm saying? Because Malcolm dropped out in the 8th grade, right? So prison, while he was in prison, he learned how to, you know what I'm saying, this was a place for him to blossom, and while in prison, he got down with the Nation of Islam, and then when he got out, Elijah set him up nice with his own little spot, and gave him some mosques to go preach at, because Malcolm had charisma, and he was also able to reach street guys because he was a street guy. He was a cleaned up street guy, right? So one of the ways to reach a lot of street guys is to use guys that come from street backgrounds, right? If you got a street guys related to street guys, almost like that killers respect killers type of mentality, right? Like if a lot of guys, like you look at some of the teachers in the community, like they were street guys that got the knowledge, right? And that's why people like okay, we like when you watch Billy, like I say, Billy is a perfect film as far as like street guys that find the knowledge, because that's Malcolm's story, right? Malcolm is almost like the originator of the street guy that found the knowledge. You know what I mean? The Father Allah was, he around the same time doing his thing, and he was, he took the lessons and then gave them to the street guys. You know what I'm saying? So it became a cool thing where it was like, oh, street guys that cleaned up their life, and now they got knowledge too. You know what I'm saying? So, but Malcolm is one of the originators for that, if not the originator for that street guy archetype that cleaned up his life, but he went to prison, right? So when he came out and he was talking to these street guys, they could feel that, oh, well, he was just like me at one time, right? So if he can clean up his life, I can clean up my life. And also when he teaches me about cleaning it up, it's coming from a place where I've been there too. I did that too. It's not just preaching pork chop. You know what I'm saying? It's not just preaching from up the street who never lived it and just coming from a judgmental place. This is from a place of love, because he's a brother that also did it also. You know what I mean? So I think that's also one of the things that helped Charleston White get his message across, is that, he have a street background, right? So him having a street background, he can critique it a little bit from a person that was within it before, right? Not just a person that's on the outside critiquing it like a Rush Limbaugh type of, you know what I mean? Or even like a Candace Owens, where they just critiquing it, but they never was within it, right? He was within it, and then now he's critiquing it, right? But before we wrap this up, I did want to say something, right? Because yeah, I did want to connect a dot, right? Just on some, on just some, my mind just going somewhere else with it. Now, when you do look at the fallout of Malcolm and Elijah, right? Malcolm and the Nation, uh, you have to keep this in mind, right? That Malcolm did have the background of a pimp, a hustler, a robber, you know what I'm saying, of all that. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like Curtis Snow, right? A pimp, a hustler, right, and all that. You don't know about that, Snow on the Bluff. Anyway, so he had that background, right? Now, with that background, like I say, it's pros to that, but it's cons to that also, right? Because if you was a thief, right, then you like scum of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you deal with like Muslims to Muslims, like in the like in the Middle East Muslims, like Orthodox Muslims, they chop your hand off. They chop the hand off of a thief. You know what I mean? So if you was a thief, you was like scum of the earth. You was a robber. That was it. But you know what I'm saying? And so even though Malcolm had that background, the nation cleaned him up, gave him an opportunity, right? So when Malcolm started moving, as far as like, him and the minister started falling out because, he allegedly, he come across Elijah's encounters with several women, right? Even though some say he knew about it previously, but who knows? Around this time, he just begins to like kind of go against the minister, and because he doesn't like some of the minister's movements. Now, a lot of people always lock in on that, right? But that was not the biggest thing. One of the biggest things was that Malcolm didn't want to be silenced. But he no longer wanted to follow the pecking order of the hierarchy system, which is it within a group. Like anytime you're in a group, it's an organization, it's a hierarchy. Like when you go to work, you got a boss, you got a supervisor, and then you got the person under the supervisor, then you got the workers. You know what I mean? It's an order, right? When you in the mob, in a mob you couldn't just hit. Like John Gotti and them was in trouble when they hit Paul Castellano, because you wasn't supposed to do that, right? You supposed to sit down at the table and get orders, because that's organized, right? So when you did in the military, you got you got E3s, E4s, E5s, all the way up. It's a sergeants, lieutenants, right? It's an order. You have to make those type of moves, right? You can't just do what you want to do. It's an order when you join the group, right? And Malcolm joined the group. And when he joined the group, you got to keep in mind that Malcolm had a big personality. He was charisma. Malcolm was used to doing his own thing, but now he's in the group. He can no longer just do what he want to do, right? So as when JFK was assassinated, the minute Elijah asked everybody to not speak publicly about that, because it could bring more danger to all Muslim kids and everybody, right? But Malcolm, being the person he is, the big personality, the unapologetic, he did it anyway. He went out and spoke to the media anyway. You know what I mean? And this was one of the things that got him silenced, right? And while he was silenced, he spoke out again. You know what I'm saying? So it was becoming a thing where it was a pattern of Malcolm just starting to become rebellious, to the group that he joined, to the group that was helping clean him up, and I love Malcolm, so I don't want y'all to think that this is me coming from a harsh place. I'm just looking at it from a unbiased point of view. Now, the media has started using Malcolm against the nation because of, they realized that Malcolm had a thing for the camera, right? You can even find pictures of Malcolm holding cameras. Like, Malcolm loved the camera. He was a handsome man. You know what I'm saying? He was in the prime years of his life. He was only in his 30s. You know what I'm saying? He liked the camera, right? He liked being, and he spoke well in front of the camera, right? So the hidden hand, they begin to use Malcolm, against Elijah, to play them against each other, right? Like, and since they already had differences, the fire had started, and they caught when the wind caught, the fire just blew up, you know what I'm saying, and then that led to the exile of Malcolm, because Malcolm didn't leave the nation. Malcolm was exiled from the nation because he refused to follow orders from the top, right? You have to follow orders from the top. And he also refused to stop talking to media, stop talking to big media at the time, where they felt like media was being used against them, right? Because it was a documentary that came out called the hate that produced hate, right? You had to watch that, and it was painting the nation as this hate group, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I say all that to say that during those times, Malcolm's background was used against him. And shout out to Professor James Small, South Carolina, one of the great master teachers. He was helping produce. So he was helping some of the writers on The Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker, right? He was helping him write. They was helping in New York. He was up in New York helping write some of the show, right? And he was also used to be in the Nation of Islam at the same time that Brother Malcolm was in the Nation of Islam, and he was around that time. So when you watch the TV show, it's an episode where people that knew Malcolm from the past, his robbing days, he always had a scheme. He always had a scheme to come up on that paper. You know how street, how hustling niggas is. They got a scheme. You know what I mean? And one of his schemes, so him having that background, it made people question the genuineness of his new found knowledge, as far as are you doing this genuinely to help the people, or is this just another hustle for you, Malcolm? Right? This was questioned. This was questioned at the time because of his background, right? Because Malcolm had the prisoner background, because he had the robbing nigga background. So the nation is looking at him like, man, we didn't let the thief in, and now he playing us. He done bit the hand, but they looking at a nigga past, right? They looking at his past too, like, well, I mean, you come from that, you backdoor niggas. A robber is a nigga that'll backdoor you. A robber is a nigga that'll snatch a plate from you. You know what I mean? So even though they felt like they cleaned him up, you know what I'm saying? His background did play a factor in the way they were seeing him as betraying the minister, and airing out dirty laundry that was going on within the group to the white media at the time, right? So I say that to say also, when you watch the film Belly, right, you'll see Tommy is fresh out of jail, right? Now Tommy is a grimy nigga because it's one of the scenes where he get locked up. They ask him his name. He give Nas' name. He say his name is Sincere, right? That's what he said. He said Sincere. So just watch it close, right? He said, what's your name? He said Sincere, right? Now later on he goes to jail, does his bid. When he get out, he hooping, he playing basketball, and then an agent walks up to him, and asks him to infiltrate, and tells him you will infiltrate the nation and assassinate the minister, right? This is in that film. So what did he do when he got out of, when he started cleaning up his life? He throwing the conscious nigga gold frame, the fly conscious nigga gold frame, the fly guy frames. You know what I'm saying? I'll be rocking them shits. So he threw them shits on. He get deep into the knowledge, but his whole purpose is to get close so he can pull the assassination attempt on the minister, right? But the knowledge was so powerful that while in the midst of trying to infiltrate, the knowledge seeped into him. You know what I mean? And then even though he came from a dark place, in the end, the knowledge has sucked enough into his mind, that now he's fully into it. So it backfired on them. But it's a lesson in that film, right? Because all black organizations have been infiltrated since the 30s. Garvey got infiltrated. The Panthers was infiltrated. You know what I mean? I'm talking about agents, nigga. I'm talking about agents infiltrating niggas. You know what I mean? Niggas getting killed, rappers getting clapped by niggas that just got out. Rappers getting clapped by niggas that just got out. Rappers getting clapped, pro-black rappers who buying shit up in their area, getting clapped over disagreements, petty disagreements by niggas that just got out. Listen to what I'm saying, bro. So agents have always played a role in this shit. Agents. We have agents. It's agents in the conscious community. It's agents, my nigga. We have agents in our community. It's probably an agent rapper with a big ass funding from record labels. You know, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. So, you know, we have brothers that coming out of prison, and then, you know, and then they get out, and then they causing chaos, right? We have to question that: is it an agent? Is this an agent, right? Because even though Charleston White says a lot of, we back in Charleston White, even though he says a lot of positive things as far as the wisdom that he puts into the, you know, he says so much, he has so much hatred and causes so much chaos, right? F. King Von, I understand his point, but, you know, he wasn't no angel, but I thought you was trying to build niggas, you know, FBG Duck Mama, right? Dissing Angel Reese, you know, dissing Farrakhan, right? Dissing Nipsey Hussle, dissing George Floyd, right? Going against every black movement, right? But at the same time, putting on the Confederate flag that has, you know, he always said, well, gangbanging didn't kill so many blacks. Well, I mean, you know, how many blacks was killed? You know, you were a historian in the 60s by whites that was banging on us under that Confederate flag that you wearing, right? Some of the MAGA shit that, you know, he put it on, he got the right to wear that, you know what I'm saying? But we don't know if it's real or fake. Is it real or is it fake? It's just, you know, because it's a lot of, even on X, it's a lot of anti-black pages that use Charleston White's talking points about black people, right? With using him as almost a Thomas Sowell type of archetype, you know. He may work. He don't mind working with the police, you know. But is he an agent?